Hello everyone, welcome to a webinar on measuring the 5 warning signs of vulnerable security protocols. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Cherubina and I'm a product expert at Analytics Plus, Manage Engine's IT Analytics solution. Before we get started, I'd like to share with you all some quick information on our session today. If you have any questions during the course of this webinar, feel free to type them in using the chat icon or the Q&A icon found on your screen. I'll do my best to address your questions towards the end of the webinar. And in the event that we run short on time, I'll respond to your questions later via email. You can, of course, also choose to email your questions to me directly at the email address that's flashing on your screen right now. So over the course of today's session, we will be discussing a detailed plan to identify critical warning signs of vulnerable security protocols and build a consolidated security dashboard for a comprehensive overview of an organization's security posture. The size and scale at which businesses operate, combined with the heavy reliance on IT to run the business's daily operations, has vastly increased the attack surface through which a threat actor can infiltrate confidential data. With such a myriad of individual components to protect, security teams are often overwhelmed and overworked, which results in cyber fatigue. This in turn translates to inadvertent lapses in security, which, in addition to resulting in data breaches or downtime, is also detrimental to your organization's growth and revenue, as it causes loss of trust among customers and stakeholders. Now, with so much at stake, how can security teams stay on top of every possible loophole that can be exploited across such a vast landscape? Now, there are two vital steps security teams should focus on to accomplish this. The first one is to streamline the barrage of data that is coming at them from multiple monitoring applications. And the second is to set up metrics that will serve as indicators of how closely security best practices are being followed within the organization. However, both these steps are interdependent. That is, in order to streamline the data, you need to know what to look for. And in order to find important pieces of information in your machine data, you need to declutter. In today's webinar, we will discuss 5 critical indicators of vulnerable security practices and how to gather and streamline this data for easy visual analysis and detection. And we're going to accomplish all of this using Analytics Plus. Analytics Plus is Manage Engine's AI-driven IT analytics solution that allows you to analyze data from this wide arena of data sources. Security teams often employ a multitude of specialized tools to track various elements in an organization's security posture, which results in disjointed data spread across several platforms that needs to be continually and carefully monitored. Analytics Plus's intuitive platform allows you to import data from all these varied tools into a unified workspace, providing security teams with a single pane of glass that encompasses every vital security metric. Now, in addition to providing pre-built reports and dashboards through comprehensive integrations with a variety of IT applications that are listed here, Analytics Plus also allows you to easily analyze data from any other monitoring application. So you can quickly bring in data either by connecting to your databases or by using APIs. And I would love to talk more about this, but that's an entirely different topic. If you would like to know more, just drop a text or email me and I'd love to get back to you on this. Now, with its AI-driven platform, Analytics Plus lets you sift through the endless data that you bring in to quickly hone in on the things that need your immediate attention, all with very minimal effort or detailed SQL know-how. Let's look at how you can accomplish this. Lapses in privileged access management. Privileged accounts are one of the primary assets that an organization needs to protect at all costs. A compromise in privileged access invariably opens up access to the rest of the infrastructure components. Privileged access management systems, or PAM systems as we all know them, are a great way to protect access to critical resources such as domain controllers, WAN routers, and so on. And they allow you to keep close tabs on who has access to them and for what duration. And this is very important to ensure only necessary access is available to a limited set of users for a limited period of time. However, considering the pace at which IT teams commission new resources into their infrastructure, very few organizations can claim that 100% of access to their privileged accounts or privileged resources are routed through their PAM systems. Direct access and remote sessions to privileged endpoints in the network are still rampant in organizations that have very strict protocols. A good way to crack down on direct access to privileged resources is by comparing the volume of remote sessions initiated through your PAM systems with the total number of remote sessions on a target device. And this requires streamlined data from your PAM system such as CyberArk, One Identity or PAM 360, and data from SIM tools such as Splunk, Exabeam, or ManageEngine's Log 360. And this was a report that was built using these data points. So this is built in Analytics Plus, and it compares the total number of sessions which were initiated across the last few years and the corresponding number of sessions that were initiated through your PAM system. So this comprehensive analysis compares the trend of access through PAM systems and log collection tools to show a visual gap between the best practice in your organization and what is unfortunately being followed. So this difference, and especially if there is a wider gap between these two metrics, it indicates a larger problem where a majority of the access to privileged resources is being established by bypassing your PAM systems. Security teams can leverage this visualization to crack down on such practices and keep an eye out for repeat offenders until the practice of bypassing privileged access management systems is brought under control. Security teams lay out an array of restrictions that organizations set up on an endpoint, such as disabling software installations, restricting USB access, restricting PowerShell access, and so much more, in an effort to close the common entry points used by hackers. But due to business requirements, there is always a portion of endpoint inventory that do not have these restrictions. A few examples of such exceptions are opening up some non-standard network ports on servers to allow access to business applications, allowing temporary USB access to backup data on a server before an OS upgrade, or even permitting network printer access to VIP users. Some of these exceptions are permanent, while of course some of them are temporary. And while it is common practice to keep an eye on ensuring temporary exceptions are revoked after the necessary time frame, you should also be wary of a general increase in the volume of exceptions which are being allowed within your organization. For instance, let's consider an example of an organization that is prepping to showcase its software product at a trade show. And key members from the marketing department request for direct access to a server in the primary data center to set up a working demo of the to be showcased product. And of course, if such showcases turn out to be a success in the form of qualified leads, more members of the marketing team would wish to replicate this and request for access to servers on the primary data center. And over time, you end up with an exponential increase in the number of people who have access to servers which could be potential gateways for attacks. The best practice in this particular situation would be to identify this increase in the number of people with access to critical servers and possibly establish a process where marketing departments nominate one or two personnel who would set up demos for the rest of the team. But the challenge, however, is picking up on these specific anomalies. Security teams require a sound understanding of how the business operates in order to look for such potential threats. They can start out with a few common exceptions that organizations make in order to facilitate smooth business operations. And you could accomplish that using a visualization like this one. So this visualization tracks the monthly exceptions that are being allowed within your organization. So it captures a set of basic exceptions such as USB access, software installation permissions, and so on, which can serve as a great starting point that organizations can gradually build upon. Now, the main aspect security teams should focus on is a gradual increase in such exceptions over time, which is not something that you should strive for. And of course, you can also use this user filter, which is found at the top of this visualization, to quickly view the exceptions in place across the different departments in your organization. This functionality allows you to understand business operations and uncover patterns across various departments which have different functional and focus areas. Vulnerability mitigation time. What better indicator can there be of agility and security responsiveness than the ability of security teams to mitigate vulnerabilities? The responsiveness of security and IT teams can make all the difference in cases such as zero-day attacks that require security teams to patch vulnerabilities in the network or endpoints in the shortest time frame possible. A good indicator of this is the measure of how long security teams take to ensure 100% patch coverage while deploying critical and time-sensitive patches. While pushing patches to in-house servers and network equipment is fairly automated these days thanks to endpoint management solutions, the real challenge lies in patching remote workstations that only occasionally connect to your corporate network. It is a good practice to track remote assets separately in such cases, and to accomplish that, you can use a visualization like this one. So this visualization tracks the average time taken to ensure 100% patch coverage each time a zero-day attack occurred within an organization. For instance, you can see here that it took a total of about 75 hours to mitigate the Cisco VPN vulnerability. So an average of 24 to 48 hours is an ideal time frame for organizations to aim for in this particular avenue. Anything above 72 hours requires immediate attention. Security teams should track and aim to consistently improve their response time in mitigating exposure to zero-day attacks and vulnerabilities, as every single minute counts in this particular regard. Standing instructions for privileged account access. It's a standard industry practice to provide a non-time-bound access to privileged accounts to frequent users so they don't have to go through an approval process each time they need access to privileged resources. Now, these are typically personnel who are in charge of maintaining the resources by ensuring firmware upgrades, OS upgrades, port access, and so on. It is good practice for security teams to keep an eye on the frequency of access periodically to ensure technicians who have non time bound access to your endpoints do, in fact, use it. This periodic check ensures the list of users with access is current and valid. This visualization shows a list of users who have access to several privileged resources in your organization but haven't used them for more than 30 days. The time frame of 30 days can of course be adjusted based on need depending on what your security team is comfortable with. A large number of users in this particular visualization is an indicator that your security team does not review the list periodically or revoke access to users who use their access occasionally. It is also an indicator that your organization is lenient in offering access to its employees. Now, a failure to review this list periodically increases the surface area of an attack. And this could especially be detrimental if this list includes your employees who have left the organization. Security teams should also ensure this list doesn't include test accounts that were created for the purpose of internal testing. Presence of these accounts in this visualization should be taken seriously and mitigated in the shortest time possible. Security Sensitivity Score. Security breaches can be split into two broad categories. The first category is the flaws in infrastructure that are exploited, and the other are people-related breaches. People-related infiltration, however, occupies a larger percentage of security breaches. While conscious attempts to steal employer information is a notable risk, this occupies a smaller percentage based on historical trends. Inadvertent exposures caused by employees who are not sensitized around common security risks and gateways of entry by malicious agents are the biggest security risk in the current security landscape. The only way to combat this is by putting employees through periodic training programs and assess them on various security topics and best practices. Compared to other security risks that security teams can combat, the people factor is one of the easiest things that you can address. The benefits companies can derive from improving employee knowledge around security topics are multiple. Security-savvy employees can serve as extended arms for security teams in flagging potential breaches such as phishing attacks, social engineering attacks targeted at employees, well before security teams can detect them using the various tools at their disposal. This visualization helps you keep an eye on how well your organization's employees fare over these assessments that you carry out on security. And it provides an average score and tracks the score across each department in your organization. So by starting with a basic beginner level assessment or training program, you can quickly identify how your employees fare when it comes to cybersecurity best practices. While some departments clearly fare better and have a good knowledge of security best practices, a low average score, which is present across a couple of the departments in the organization, is an indicator that your organization's security posture is in risky territory and should be addressed immediately. We've discussed key metrics that could serve as wonderful indicators of vulnerable security protocols and practices. IT analytics solutions such as Analytics Plus allow security teams to consolidate all of this data into unified security dashboards like this one. These dashboards can serve as a window into possible signs of infiltration and also help build awareness among the larger audience in the organization to take security seriously. Now, in addition to holding all the reports that we discussed through the session today, this dashboard also has very useful widgets at the top which give you quick insights into the state of the security in your organization. IT analytics solutions allow seamless incorporation of data from all possible IT sources, making it the ideal candidate for consolidating security metrics from all corners of IT and making it available for visual consumption and analysis. Let me quickly summarize everything we discussed over the course of our session today. Lapses in privileged access management. A compromise in privileged access invariably opens up access to the rest of your infrastructure components in the organization. A good way to crack down on direct access to privileged resources is by comparing the volume of remote sessions initiated through your PAM systems with the total number of remote sessions on a target device. Now, a wider difference between these two metrics indicates a larger problem, wherein a majority of the access to privileged resources is established by bypassing your PAM systems. Security teams can leverage visualizations to crack down on such practices and keep an eye out for repeat offenders. Increasing trend of security exceptions. While it is a common practice to ensure temporary exceptions are revoked after the necessary time frame, you should also be wary of and keep an eye on the general increase in the volume of exceptions allowed within an organization. Closely monitor any increase in the number of people with access to critical resources and take remedial action accordingly. Breach or vulnerability mitigation time. A good indicator of the responsiveness of security and IT teams is the measure of how long security teams take to complete 100% patch coverage while deploying critical and time-sensitive patches. Security teams should track and aim to consistently improve their response time in mitigating exposure to attacks such as zero-day attacks within the organization. Standing instructions for privileged account access. It is a standard industry practice to provide a non-time-bound access to privileged accounts to frequent users so they don't have to go through an approval process each time they need to access privileged resources. It is good practice to additionally keep a close eye on the frequency of access periodically to ensure technicians who have non-time-bound access to endpoints do in fact use it. And when you identify instances where they haven't accessed these privileged resources in a specific duration, say 30 days or longer, it is good practice to revoke access as needed. Security sensitivity scores. Conduct routine assessments and training programs to see how your employees fare in security best practices. A low average score is an indicator that your organization's security posture is in risky territory and should be addressed immediately. So the various reports and dashboards that we discussed over the course of this webinar were built using Analytics Plus, ManageEngine's AI-powered IT analytics solution using data spanning across various applications. Now, beyond offering comprehensive analytical capabilities, Analytics Plus also provides out-of-the-box integrations with several IT applications. And this includes various ManageEngine applications such as Endpoint Central, PAM 360, Site 24/7, Applications Manager, and so on. The Advanced Analytics platform also provides pre-built analytics for a variety of third-party IT applications such as Splunk, Jira Software, and so much more. Now, the primary benefit of these out-of-the-box integrations are that they can be configured in minutes with very minimal manual effort, post which you can access more than 300 pre-built contextual reports and dashboards. So if you'd like to attain a hands-on experience and apply all the detailed visualizations we discussed over your organization's data, all you need to do is simply sign up or download the Analytics Plus free trial, set up the required integrations, and access insightful reports and dashboards. Now, beyond offering out of the box insights for major IT applications, Analytics Plus continually strives to facilitate self service on every level of its platform. A key player that facilitates this is our AI driven analytics assistant, Zia. If you're just getting started with analytics and you find most BI tools to be daunting, well, Zia is your new best friend. All you have to do is strike up a conversation with Zia, either via text or voice, and Zia will automatically generate the insights you require to further your analytics journey. Now, while this particular functionality removes the task of having to manually build a report, understanding and breaking down the information displayed in the generated visualization can still take up quite a bit of time. But with Zia Insights, you can attain narrative, detailed interpretation of your analysis at the mere click of a button. And this particular feature proves beneficial, especially in cases where immediate action and immediate insights are required to putting out fires in your organization. You can also leverage Zia's conversational prowess to dig deeper into your data and perform root cause analysis, and also use the forecasting engine to foresee future trends and modify business strategies accordingly. Another beneficial and handy feature in Analytics Plus is our scenario analysis functionality. Using what if analysis, you can execute powerful scenario analysis over your reports to visualize various outcomes based on a deciding factor. By understanding the business impact when changes occur ahead of time, you can adjust your strategies and achieve business objectives with ease. You can also set up threshold-based alerts for your reports and get notified via in-app alerts or email. And this saves you the trouble of having to recheck your visualizations manually to avoid missing out on critical changes. And this particular feature is very helpful in notifying you of suspicious activities that occur within your organization. So that was a brief overview of the Analytics Plus application. And it looks like we have a few minutes left for a quick Q&A session. So the first question we have here today is, and while I go about answering the questions that are already there, please feel free to type in any other questions that you may encounter over the next few minutes. So the first question here is, I'm not well versed in analytics. Can I still use this tool to configure protection for my organization? So Analytics Plus is a self-service IT analytics platform that does not require heavy SQL queries or coding. So it employs a simple drag and drop interface that allows users to build and customize the visualizations they require with ease. Additionally, with Zia, our AI-powered assistant, you can simply ask or type in questions and Zia will generate visualizations for you, perform data predictions, root cause analysis, all of which will be carried out with zero human effort. Moving on to the next question I see here. So I have data from multiple monitoring apps. Is it possible to configure a unified blended setup for this? So you can easily blend data from different IT applications and attain unified comprehensive insights into your organization's multitude of endpoints, employees, which gives you a holistic view of your security posture. Additionally, we also offer pre-built blended analytics for data from various applications such as Endpoint Central, Service Desk Plus, which can be configured within minutes and offers a range of pre-built reports and dashboards based on the unified data. So that brings us to the end of the questions and answers section for today. We've covered a lot of information through the course of this webinar, and I truly hope you benefit from this session. If you'd like to try out these reports for yourself, you can quickly download or sign up to the Manage Engine Analytics Plus application, which provides a free all-inclusive 15-day trial. Simply scan the QR code that's flashing on your screen to head to the sign-up page. And from there, you can either choose to download the on premise version or quickly sign up to the cloud version and get your application running with ease. Once that's done, it should take you mere minutes to set up the various integrations and access all the pre-built reports and dashboards. And with that, we have reached the end of this webinar. So that's about it from me, folks. If you had any questions or concerns during the session, please do contact me using the email address that's on your screen right now. I truly love to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to attend the session today. Take care, everyone. Have a great day ahead.